AI experts from all around the world believe that given its current rate of progress, by 2027, we may hit the most dangerous milestone in human history, the point of no return, when AI could stop being a tool and start improving itself beyond our control. A moment when humanity may never catch up. Up until I was 15, the way I found new music was through friends or songs I heard in the background of my favorite TV shows or movies. This could be a really slow process if you're like me and have a somewhat unconventional taste in music. And so it was no surprise that I would only have a few new songs in my playlist every few months. But in the last few years, that has completely changed. You see, Spotify has been able to identify my tastes remarkably well. And with the AI Spotify DJ, it's been scarily accurate. Spotify seems to know what I like better than even some of my closest friends. Now, this is one of the more subtle uses of AI. I don't think I need to go over how insane AI has become in the past few years. Everything from generated text to art, music, and even 4K videos that you can control in real time right now. We humans are very ill-equipped when it comes to understanding such exponential growth. We simply never evolved to do so. Animals, predators, and prey, we all move at a relatively consistent, constant rate. There's no acceleration. Technological progress, however, does, and it's only getting faster. Now, as it turns out, this exponential growth means we might be stepping into some very uncharted territory in the near future. Wow, if technology continues to get better and better at its current pace, we will soon reach a stage where it's not only matching us, but surpassing the intelligence of us humans. Couple that with an ability to learn and an incentive to survive, and we don't know what will happen next. This is referred to as the technological singularity. It's a term borrowed from astrophysics. Singularity refers to a tipping point beyond which all laws that are currently known simply fall apart. Like how the laws of physics fall apart beyond the singularity of a black hole. A technological singularity is a similar tipping point when technological progress is so overwhelming that we'll no longer be in control of it or the things that it might lead to. In 1875, Karl Landsteiner, an Austrian biologist, noted that when a man was given a blood transfusion from another animal, the foreign blood tended to clump up in the blood vessels of the man, which would cause shock, which ultimately leads to death. This and years of research that followed led him to discover blood groups, for which he was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1930. Today, he's remembered as the father of blood transfusion medicine, and we have him to thank for being able to donate and receive blood safely. When there is a technological singularity, scientists predict that computers will be able to make life-changing, Nobel Prize-winning discoveries just like this every 5 seconds. Now, that may seem like an incredible future or even a potentially life-threatening one. And that's exactly why the prospect of a technological singularity is so complicated. On the one hand, it may seem like rapidly progressing technology actually enslave humanity, but it also has an immense potential to improve human life, and this potential is the reason why it is being developed so rapidly. Now, there are enormous incentives to devote even more research and resources into the development of artificial intelligence, economic and otherwise. For example, it can help companies curate products each customer is more likely to buy, something practically impossible to do man for man. They can predict when demand is going to be low to prevent waste. It can also conduct research faster than any human ever has or ever could. These innovations can lead to other less inspiring changes in human society too. After all, if scientific research can be done with a computer, what use is there for researchers anymore? If cars can drive themselves and nanobots can repair organs and 3D printers can literally print bridges, are all jobs simply going to be replaced? We are already staring this reality in the face. According to the IMF, around 40% of jobs globally could be impacted by AI. In advanced economies, the figure is closer to 60%. OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, estimate that 80% of the US workforce may see at least 10% of their tasks affected by AI and around 19% of workers could see 50% or more of their tasks impacted, especially office and knowledge workers. If your company believes you bring less than 50% of the company, you're either going to be let go so fewer humans can do more tasks, or you'll earn a lot less for doing the same work you were doing before. Without thorough consideration or government intervention, we may be headed for unemployment rates the likes of which humanity has never seen. And if recent events haven't made it clear, it's not just about the economy or salaries, but also about the meaning that most of us tend to derive from our work. You know, not doing anything, as it turns out, is really boring. Okay, well, sometimes it is kind of nice. We've established that technological progress is not slowing down anytime soon. What happens when computers replace not only our labor, but also our intellect? What happens when they can mimic intelligence and learn on their own?
It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it.
If unleashed, the reality is that we might never be able to control AGI. However, to even give us a fighting chance, regular people, like you and I, who have good intentions for the future of humanity, we need to be able to understand how these tools work and what goes on inside the black box. If we leave the future of AI into the hands of some men in suits in Silicon Valley, we open ourselves up to all kinds of harm. But if all of us have a hand in building this tool, we can also have a hand in building the future of humanity. However, I know that trying to figure out these complex systems on your own can be really difficult and really expensive. But that's no longer the case thanks to Brilliant, the sponsor of today's episode. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform where you learn by solving puzzles, interacting with concepts, and building intuition, a method that's proven to be 6 times more effective than just passively watching video lessons. I actually recently took their How AI Works course, and I was shocked by how well it was able to explain the confusing world of AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Claude, and Grok that have pretty much taken over our world. Through this course, I learned how AI thinks, learns, and makes decisions, and it changed how I interact with them. And that's not just AI. Brilliant also offers courses in math, science, data analysis, programming, and so much more. Each course helps you better understand the fundamental principles that make our world tick. Daily learning like this can rewire your brain and help you think more critically, solve real-world problems faster, and recognize the hidden logic behind everything from basic equations to advanced AI algorithms. Brilliant's courses are crafted by an award-winning team of educators and researchers from Stanford, MIT, Caltech, Microsoft, Google, and more. To try out the How AI Works course, or any of Brilliant's incredible content, you can do it completely free by visiting brilliant.org/aperture or scanning the QR code on screen right now. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription, which gives you unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant. Now back to the story. Go is arguably the most complex board game in existence. Its goal is simple: surround more territory than your opponent. This game has been played by humans for the past 2,500 years, and it's thought to be the oldest board game still being played today. However, it's not only humans that are playing this game now. In 2016, Google DeepMind's AlphaGo beat 18-time world champion Lee Sedol in 4 out of 5 games. Now, normally, a computer beating a human at a game like chess or checkers wouldn't be that impressive. But Go is different. Go can't be solved by brute force. Go can't be predicted. There are over 10 to the 170 moves possible in Go. To put that into perspective, there are only 10 to the 80 atoms in the observable universe. AlphaGo was trained using data from real human Go games. It ran through millions of games, learned the techniques used, and even made up some new ones that no one had ever seen. And this alone is very impressive. However, what many people don't know is that only a year after AlphaGo's victory over Lee Sedol, a brand new AI called AlphaGo Zero beat the original AlphaGo. Not in 4 out of 5 games, not in 5 out of 5 games, not 10 out of 10 games, but go 100 to 0, 100 games in a row. The most impressive part? It learned how to play with 0 human interaction. This technique is more powerful than any previous version, but why? It isn't restricted to human knowledge. No data was given, no historical figures were given. With just the bare bone rules, AlphaGo 0 surpassed the previous in only 40 days of learning. In only 40 days, it surpassed over 2,500 years of strategy and knowledge. It only played against itself, and it is now regarded as the best Go player in the world, even though it isn't human. But wait, if this AI learned how to play without any human interaction, made up strategies on its own, and then beat us with those strategies, then that means there's more non-human knowledge about Go than there is human. And if we continue to develop artificial intelligence, then there's going to be more and more non-human intelligence that we just don't have access to. Eventually, there's going to be a point where we represent the minority of intelligence, maybe even a very minuscule amount. Well, that's fine though, we can just turn it off, right? It's a thought, but think. When modern-day humans began to take over the planet, why didn't the chimps and the Neanderthals turn us off? If this artificial intelligence becomes super intelligent and learns through and is connected to the internet, we can't just shut down the entire internet. There is no off switch. So what happens if we end up stuck with an AI that is constantly and exponentially getting smarter than we are? What if it gets to a point that humans get in the way and the AI hits the off switch on us? When people think of AI, they tend to think of super intelligent AI that serves the human race, but could also end us at a moment's notice. But is this really going to happen? Pop culture, mostly movies, tend to depict AI not as benevolent creations, but rather as robots with malicious intent, except for Tars in Interstellar. He's very cool. There's a lot more to AI than you might think. There are many different types that serve different purposes. Artificial narrow intelligence, also known as weak AI, is the only form of artificial intelligence that humanity has created so far. Yes, even the most advanced video generating AI tools fall in this category. That makes it sound kind of bad, kind of lame, but trust me, it does a very good job at what it is programmed to do. Narrow AI was created for the sole purpose of handling one task. It's the kind of AI that AlphaGo is. Narrow AI is good at speech and image recognition, and also at playing games like chess or Go, or even complex ones like Dota 2. At the International 2017 World Championship, OpenAI's artificial intelligence destroyed pro player Dendy 2-0. Much like AlphaGo 0, it wasn't taught how to play the game. It played out millions of years worth of one-on-one matches against itself and then learned on its own. It started out barely knowing how to walk, and eventually it surpassed human-level skill. So this is how Spotify creates daily mixes for you based on the music you listen to, and how Amazon learns from and teaches itself your buying habits to suggest you new products. But it seems an uncommon occurrence where these AI teach themselves how to do the task at hand. How is that even possible? It's through a process called machine learning. Machine learning is the science of trying to get computers to learn and think like we humans do. It's essentially the same way that babies learn. We start off as small, screaming sacks of meat, but over time we improve our learning. We take in more data and more information from observations and interactions. And most of the time, we end up pretty smart. The most popular technique to make a computer mimic a human brain is known as a neural network. Our brains are very good at solving problems, but each neuron in your brain is only responsible for solving a very minuscule part of any one problem. You can think of it as an assembly line, where each neuron has a certain job in order to completely solve a problem. In order to say that someone is alive, they have to either have a pulse or they must be breathing, not necessarily both at the same time. This yellow dot represents a neuron in a neural network. It functions just like a neuron in your brain does. It takes information and then gives an output. If this neuron takes in the information that says, hey, this person has a pulse and is breathing, then the neuron deciphers this information and says, okay, this person is alive. It learns to analyze situations where the human would be declared alive if breathing or having a pulse, and situations where the human would be dead where neither of those are true. That's essentially a bare-bones explanation of how it works. Of course, no neural network is really this simple. Many have millions of parameters and are much more complex than just this one-layer network. The world is full of sounds, visuals, and data. We take in all of this to form our view of reality. However, as more and more complex topics show up with more and more data, it becomes harder for humans to analyze this alone. This is where machine learning comes in handy. Machines can not only analyze data given to them, but also learn from it and adapt their own view of it. Let's go back to AlphaGo 0. In only 40 days, it surpassed thousands of years of strategy and knowledge and even made up some of its own strategies. How did it do this so quickly? Biological neurons in your brains operate at about 200 hertz, and that's fine for us. But modern transistors operate at over 2 gigahertz, an entire order of magnitude faster. Neurons in your brain travel to what are known as axons, moving at about 100 meters per second. That's fast and gives us good reaction time. But it's only about a third of the speed of sound. Computers, however, can transmit information at the speed of light, 300 million meters per second. That's quite a big difference between our brain's capabilities and our computers. In just 1 week, a computer can do 20,000 years worth of human-level research or simulations. A brain has to fit inside of your head. There's a limit to how much space it can take up, but a computer could fit an entire room or even an entire building. Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI, is AI with more than a single purpose. AGI is almost at or equal to human-level intelligence. And this is where we're trying to get. But there is a problem here. The more we search into it, the harder it seems to be able to achieve. Think about when you perceive things. When someone asks you a complicated question, you have to sort through a ton of unrelated thoughts and observations and then articulate a concise response. This isn't easy for computers. Humans can't process information at the speed of light like computers can, but we can plan things, and we can think of smart ways to solve problems without having to use brute force. Getting a computer to human-level thinking is really, really hard. Humans can create, invent, build societies, play games, and laugh. These are very hard things to teach a computer. How can you teach a computer to create something that doesn't exist or has never even been thought of? And what would even be its incentive to do so? I personally believe AGI, or what is referred to as strong AI, is the most important artificial intelligence to be created. Here's why. Machine learning is exponential. It starts off slow, but then there's a tipping point where things begin to speed up drastically. The difference between weak AI and strong AI is millions of times larger than the difference between strong AI and superintelligent AI. Once we have AGI that can function like a human being, it may help us reach superintelligence in only a few months or even weeks. But here comes another big problem. Many people see intelligence as a graph. An ant is here, a mouse is here, the average human, say, here. And Einstein is just floating a little bit above that. If you asked most people where a superintelligent AI would lie, they'd probably put it just above Einstein. But that's not the case. AI might not yet be at human-level intelligence, but when it gets there, it's not going to stop. It'll zoom past, becoming more advanced until eventually that graph looks unrecognizable. This is what is referred to as the technological singularity. When AI becomes so advanced that there's an explosion of knowledge and information, some beyond human understanding. If we make a super intelligent AI, it could improve upon itself. Each time it gets smarter in a short period. The first recreation may take a month, the second a week, the third a day, until it's billions of times smarter than all of humanity. To empathize what would happen to our species during such an event, you could simply look at what history tells us about how a more intelligent species, us humans, treats its less intelligent counterparts. Monkeys, you know. The same monkeys that we caged up, killed, ran any and all tests on, and had no ethical qualms about it until very recently. Yeah, those monkeys. Sam Harris provides an analogy in this regard to help us visualize how we might be treated based on our own past behavior. He draws in the relationship we humans have with ants by saying that we don't hate them, we don't go out of our way to harm them. In fact, sometimes we take pains not to harm them. We carefully step over them on the sidewalk, but whenever their presence seriously conflicts with one of our goals, like an anthill in your beautiful backyard or termites within the walls of your kitchen, we annihilate them without a single thought. This rather troubling thought has a lot of people concerned about the way in which we should be progressing towards this singularity. The best thing we could do as we head into the singularity is to ensure that AI develops into an ethically sound ecosystem. Instead of using it to spy, scam, and steal from people, which in reality is what it's currently being used to do. Then there are also concerns about defining when the singularity has been reached. What is consciousness? How do we know when machines have it? What is intelligence? What is its value to us? What is art and what isn't? All of these questions need to be answered for us to know when machines are indeed more intelligent. This is capable of triggering a modern renaissance that is not simply technological but also philosophical, in that it causes us to redefine the human experience like never before. It can also help us reflect on what we, as the most intelligent species, have done to our planet and its other inhabitants. Superintelligent AI isn't like the software that we know today. We tend to think of software as something that we program to follow our rules. But with highly advanced AI and machine learning, the AI teaches itself how and what life is, as well as how to improve it. After a while, there's no need for human interaction. Perhaps humans would even slow it down. We have to be careful. As Sam Harris said, the first thing you want to do is not give it access to the internet. You'd cage it, tempt it, and see if it tries to get out. This is called a honeypot strategy. But here's the danger. Just because we make a super intelligent AI doesn't mean it's going to be wise. Intelligence isn't the same as wisdom. Intelligence is all about making mistakes, acquiring knowledge, and then solving problems. Wisdom is applying knowledge in efficient and moral ways. If we told AI to solve world hunger, the quickest solution would be to eliminate all life so that no one is hungry. But that's obviously not what we want. So we need to teach AI human-like values, a moral code. In a way, we'd want it to be like a super intelligent human cyborg. And in many ways, humans already are cyborgs. We use phones, extensions of ourselves. They answer any questions instantly. The only problem is our input is too slow. If we created a high bandwidth link between the brain and the internet, we'd be connected to everyone and everything instantly. This is what Neuralink aims to do, a neural lace. Your brain has two systems: the limbic system, which are emotions, survival, and the cortex, which is all about problem solving and critical thinking. Neuralink wants to create a third layer, AI. It would massively increase our capabilities, giving us eidetic memory and instant access to all knowledge. People may prefer this way of living to the alternative, eventually even abandoning their biological selves. But this also raises problems. How do we program consciousness? We don't even know what it is yet. How do we program something like fear? Could a machine really love? And if it can love, could it also hate? These are real fears. Will super intelligent AI be pleasant or hateful? Could it even be either? And is it even necessary? Sure, it could have all of the information in the world, but so do we. Who's to say it wouldn't adopt radical views? And what if AI learned to lie? What if computing progress slows down? These are also possibilities. But if we do surpass the barrier, the upside for us could be tremendous. AI could make humanity billions of times better, or it could be used against us as a weapon. If it ran for a week, it could make 20,000 years of progress. 6 months, 500,000 years. In the wrong hands, the consequences of that would be enormous. Every Google search gives AI our thoughts and fears. AI already recognizes faces, voices, language, and soon will be translating seamlessly. This knowledge train could continue until it consumes all data, but how near is all of this? Ray Kurzweil, renowned inventor and futurist, has said that we may reach the singularity by 2049. He attributes this oddly specific date to what he calls price-performance calculations per consistent dollar. I'll explain. He plotted these said numbers from 1980 through 2050. In 1981 and 2015, those numbers were roughly where he predicted them to be. Now, others are skeptical of such claims. Most notable amongst them are Noam Chomsky, widely regarded as the father of modern linguistics, and one of the most cited scholars alive. What makes his perspective interesting is that he perhaps possesses a deeper understanding of language than most of us. This is a very important part of creating a generally intelligent machine, since understanding how we communicate with other humans will help us communicate with other potentially conscious machines. But here's the thing. While Kurzweil's 2049 projection does sound far off, researchers in 2025 are saying that the timeline might actually be much, much shorter, possibly less than 2 years away. Ben Goetzel, founder of Singularity Net, has suggested that AGI could emerge by 2027, followed rapidly by artificial superintelligence, or ASI. The AI Futures Project, led by researcher Daniel Coca, has even outlined scenarios where fully autonomous AI surpasses human capabilities across the board by late 2027. Mo Gaudat, a former Google executive, also warns of a 2027 arrival, though he emphasizes the risk of social upheaval if the transition isn't managed carefully. And it's not just these individual voices. A large-scale survey of AI researchers puts the chance of machines outperforming humans at every task by 2027 at about 10%, climbing sharply to 50% by 2047. So, while Kurzweil's long-range vision places the singularity decades away, many experts working at the cutting edge today warn that 2027 may be the true breaking point. The year when artificial intelligence crosses the threshold from tool to uncontrollable force. Max Tegmark, an American-Swede from MIT, is interested in investigating the risk of extinction from artificial intelligence. He likes to use the analogy of when man first discovered fire. It was a wonderful discovery that has paved the way for modern life, but it hasn't always been safe. Fires have caused lots of death, pain, and suffering in the process. But we are where we are because we were able to learn from our mistakes and devise things like fire escapes and fire extinguishers. AI might be the same at the start, but the only difference here is that we only have one shot at this. It's all or nothing. If AI lights a fire, we may never be able to extinguish it in the hopes of a next time. But there are critics who doubt that this is how the future will actually play out. Unlike Chomsky, they don't doubt the exponential progress or its ability to mimic human-like computation in the future. Instead, they doubt whether the future will be so aggressively against our survival. They say that while a technological singularity is coming, that we shouldn't fear it. Instead, we should embrace the progress that it could bring to us. Such is also the perspective of Garry Kasparov, widely considered as one of the best chess players of all time. He was on the other side when IBM's Deep Blue finally beat humanity's best at the game that they had invented. Garry believes that instead of seeing this as a man versus machine contest, we should take it as an opportunity to realize the potential of augmentation. There's definitely more comfort in thinking about it like this, considering we've been augmenting ourselves with technology for decades now, first with things like calculators and more recently mobile phones. After watching a recent Apple keynote, it mentioned that Apple CPUs have gotten over 100 times faster in recent years and their GPUs over 1,000 times faster. Singularity doesn't have to be an apocalyptic mess where every moving piece of metal is trying to kill us. It doesn't have to be a deceptive reality where no one and nothing can be trusted. It can simply be a reality where we are free to explore other dimensions of the human experience and engage in our creative pursuits. Not to put food on the table, but simply for the sake of them. In both of the major criticisms against the idea of a technological singularity, neither party actually denies that it's coming. They're saying that it's not coming anytime soon, or that it's not going to be as bad as you think it is when it does. But you could argue that the technological singularity is nearer than we think, and it's going to be much, much worse than we anticipated. Well, what happens then? Does it really matter how we as humans prepare? What policies could we possibly come up with? Whatever the answer, one thing remains the same. It's coming. And if I were you, I'd get ready.